We are in a tie match at the drop. Double gen pop to avoid the deadlock. They do go down. There is a haste status effect. They did be careful here. The hatch is going to spawn momentarily. Dead Hard could get them the distance to get it too. Hard shot.
Really smart play on the ace. Oh my god, getting shot through the window.
No longer have distortion, and they are going to teleport here. I think they get there in time. Yes!
Oh, the grab. Yes! That is disappointing.
This is be a 4-man out because.
Yeah, but they will be able to block this. Yo, getting caught on that. Ace coming with the body block. Oh, they were here.
Hey, what is up, guys? It's Giltspire here, and welcome back to Champions of the Fog. I am joined here by Direwolf today as we're about to jump right on into Chronicles vs. Millennium for the bronze match. Dire, how excited are you for this?
I am super excited, and thank you for the warm welcome and having me back after the very, very interesting semifinals yesterday. It is going to be such an interesting match. Chronicles, a team that has proven that they can fight against difficult opponents, and they definitely have a difficult opponent right here. We all remember Millennium's great plays throughout the season and in other tournaments here as well. And we do have Chronicles coming in with the Oni. That's a killer who can make a lot of pressure to a team. He can also make a lot of turns during the mid game, but it's also a lot of work to be done here.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I are kind of talking about this a little bit before the match. The teams are aware of what killers are being seen today. We're seeing an Oni go up against a nurse. So this Oni has a lot of work cut out for them. They cannot simply end this match with a 2K at 5 gens. They are going to need to pull out all the stops to get the 4K so that their survivor team has even a chance against the nurse.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of work, as you mentioned, especially if you face a nurse on the other hand, and this early hit here is going to help really, really good. We have 60 seconds expired from the corrupt intervention and already collecting the blood here, and just a few more seconds here and the power would come through. Then the interesting decision to make by Eric. Is he going to stick to this survivor, or maybe using the power to try cut someone off and get the first down here? Mind games coming out, but the pallet early dropped here and used for safety, and it's actually going to be the power and going after this survivor here. So Millennium pressured with 2 survivors already, and if Eric manages to get the down here, that would be really, really huge for them.
Oh, and we do see the down on the Magic, the Claudette. That little bit of mind game there. I think Claudette getting a bit psyched out by the Oni, and sure enough, this will be a basement hook.
And this basement hook is going to do a lot of work here once again, because it's not going to be so easy to rescue here. You might get a trade out of this for a few more stages here, and we need a lot. But unfortunately, this generator here on the bottom side being done, so the 3-gen you potentially had over here is now broken.
Yeah, these survivors showing no fear against this Oni. That Nia, while injured, will still go and complete that gen. Oni, though, going back for the unhook, I think, though, seeing the Nia caught out here at the LT wall, might be able to get the down.
Oh, just a very nice juke here. That was last second rescue by Millennium. Back and forth mind games, but just taking the distance here with the exhaust perk, and now potentially going back towards the basement. No, rotating around, staying on this TNL here, trying to get the down onto Millennium's survivor. Back and forth once again. Who is the better patience? It's the survivor doing a juke once again here. Wonderful work by our Nia, and so important for Millennium to stay alive longer, but this might be another basement hook here.
Yeah, it's looking like it, and we did notice there, we saw a eruption go off on that down. However, the gen is still highlighted in yellow, so that there is a eruption and Call of Brine combo.
And this Call of Brine will need to do a lot of work for Eric here, and it's only going to do a lot of work if he is able to push these survivors away from the generators. The issue is that a lot of these generators are located towards the top side, so he would need to leave the basement hook behind, and that's going to make it a little bit easier for Millennium here. They are also leaving super early, so we can tell Millennium is communicating on point here.
Yeah, absolutely. They are playing it safe. Time and time again, we see them going back to that main building, which has gone untouched by the Oni. So it is a very safe setup here. We see Nia with the body block incoming. This is probably true BT. Nancy, I imagine, with Deliverance. And sure enough, that does seem to be the case.
Now the question for Eric, once again, going after Nia for the tunnel or chasing another survivor. It seems like we're going straight back into the TNL here. We had Oni versus Nia on this TNL earlier. It was a win for Millennium, and now it's going to happen again. No, they switch onto Le Magic here. This generator also 50% progress already, so Millennium sticking to these objectives as best as possible. But what a nice flick by Eric. Le Magic here pulling the pallet, or trying to pull the pallet a little bit too late. So that's another down, and now hooking on the top side is, I think, way better for Eric than the basement.
Yeah, I would 100% agree here. Though if we do look at the gen spread, it ain't looking good. We kind of see that line of gens on the right-hand side here and that one lone gen. It just feels like if one of these gens pops, it is going to be game over.
That is very true here. Yeah, you mentioned the generator split. It's not the best for the Oni, and also Millennium on point with the timing on these Anuks. As soon as Eric is moving away to kick a generator, they are rotating over to get the save. So far, perfect coordination from the Survivor team. 3 stages for Chronicles here, trying to contest the gens as best as possible. But here, once again, Survivor already out of the area, not even scratch marks, so they know exactly where the Oni is. And I wouldn't be surprised if we potentially see them hiding out this power, but Nia vaulting into the killer, but getting away with it. And the Lythia as well, generating number 4. This pressure is really insane.
Oh, and we see Oni here trying to go for a little bit of mind game. Will get the down at the pallet.
That was a really beautiful one here by Eric. This back and forth is giving him a lot of good results here in this match. He was able to trick the survivors twice with it so far.
Yeah, however, we see those 3 survivors trying to crank out that gen, and I get a feeling they're going to be able to do so before the Oni can interrupt. There's the hit on the Nancy, the wrong one to hit. That's going to more likely not be your Deliverance player, and the generator is completed.
That's a very good trade here for Millennium. They do leave a lot of blood in the trial here, and that is very likely going to be another power, but we do not see a no way out here, so potentially they are already sitting on the door, or they're just hiding out one time this power here. There's also the Deliverance in the trial, so that's going to be the Survivor back in the trial. They're healing in the background, so this is going to be our Nia, who had a lot of stages already, so this would also be a kill Millennium is willed to take here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be only a few points for Chronicles here, as they will be able to get the hook. However, Millennium with the 3-man out, it's going to be very difficult for Chronicles Survivor team to come back from this when going up against the Nurse.
Absolutely, yeah. Mentioning the Nurse here, you do need a very, very strong result usually on your Oni. So we do have 6-7 hook stages now here on our Oni. So 7 stages or 8 stages coming in from Millennium on the Nurse on a smaller map like Cold Tower is definitely going to be something Millennium is willed to take, and what they will feel confident about. Just pointing out, Eric is prestige 32 with the Oni. I think we can tell that this skill is definitely right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we're kind of wrapping up here and getting set up for the next lobby, you know, I want your thoughts on something real quick. Oni technically got a bit of a nerf this most recent update, as they're no longer dropping double blood orbs. Where do you think Oni falls within the, you know, the spectrum of killers nowadays because of that, you know, subsequent nerf?
Yeah, Oni is such a difficult call to make in the tier list, because sometimes he's getting 0 staged, and then the very strong teams are showing us that Oni cannot really do anything if you don't allow him to do anything. So he really needs mistakes on the survivor side. On the other hand, when you do play good as Oni, for example, like Eric, and you force something, you still relatively quickly get the blood, and the power can do a lot for you, the mobility, the pressure. So he maybe dropped a little bit from, I know a lot of people sort him in the A tier, maybe towards the B tier. Some people would probably place him at the very bottom and say, because he's so in need of survivor mistakes, he's way worse. It's difficult for me, but he has a huge potential in comp, and I think why we love him so much in comp DBD is because he has this potential to turn an entire match in 5 seconds if he wants to.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I 100% agree with everything that you said there, and honestly, I always love seeing Oni matches, especially because what we saw there from Eric, that back and forth, those mind games, time and time again, it's always an exciting thing to watch. But with that being said, we are getting this next lobby set up and ready to go, though before we do take a quick break, we do want to remind you here, everyone viewing today, that you, yes, you are our sponsors. So as they watch all the bits that you tip, all the subs that you buy, all goes to supporting Champions of the Fog and our $525 prize pool that these competitors are duking it out for. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. All right, and we are back. This time, though, we got Millennium's Nurse versus Chronicles Survivor Team. Chronicles right now up by 2 points. So it is do or die time against this Nurse. They either need a equal score as the last Oni or better to claim set number 1. What are you thinking here, Dyer? Do you think that they are going to be able to pull it off?
Oh, that's going to be a really, really difficult task for Chronicles, because just when you said Millennium's Nurse, I realized how dangerous that sounds. Millennium's Nurse facing on the Coal Tower here. I think it comes down to the early game here. If Chronicles is able to have a little bit of hiding time, getting a little bit of sneaky gen pressure in there on the top side already, that would really help. Unfortunately, the first chase is starting relatively quickly here, but it's in the corrupted area all the way at the shack. So if the 3 survivors are hopping onto the gens on the top side right now, and this survivor here manages to stay alive for a little bit, that could be a good start for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ace so far doing a very good job kind of stealthing out, but we do see Nurse hot on their trail. Nurse, though, losing the trail just a minute there, though, but Ace is going to have to be careful here as Nurse will get the down.
Very, very strong blink here by nothing. Getting the first hook stage in. We do not see it generated just yet, but that's not too surprising because unfortunately the chase went back into the uncorrupted area. So in case survivors were sitting here on these generators, they are now interrupted.
Yeah, and we see that right there with that skill check miss. That is 9 seconds off the gen. However, a very quick unhook there by Chronicles. And we do see that flashlight there to try and light burn the Nurse, at least trying to get them off the trail of the Ace, but nothing. Undeterred is going to be attempting to go for the tunnel out.
Tunnel out, the very, very wanted strategy by the killers to force the 3v1 as quick as possible, and who could be better than a Nurse, the flashlight assistance, but unfortunately not coming through here. This also means that one survivor is not sitting on a generator right now. Nothing knows this as well, so he will feel confident, spend a little bit more time into this elimination if needed.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a huge play here by Millennium, and we do see the first generator popping off, and I imagine the second one being worked on back in that corner as well. However, we see that survivor there behind the tree. Nia is going to be caught out in the middle of nowhere.
Difficult decision, chasing her or going back. Seems like Nia is not the priority here. Very understandable because we're still on 4 generators and you could already bring this down to a 3v1 scenario. 1 more generator being completed here, but nothing will still feel confident. If I'm not mistaken, that was a very long second stage here, so that might have been a kinship. Then I'm definitely right here. So more time being taken, but honestly, if Chronicles is losing this survivor here, we need at least 1 more generator in exchange, but a very good save there.
And a 4 to people to boot to make the tunnel that much more difficult. Really smart heads-up play by these survivors. This means this chase is going to take a little bit longer and potentially long enough to allow these survivors to do the last 2-3 gens.
Flashlight assistance once again, nearly getting the blind there. Very good work by Chronicles survivor here, but the chase... Oh, that was a very beautiful one. Double back, forcing the killer to play Minecraft here in the wall, and this is going to be more flashlight help and assistance. Very nice team play by Chronicles, but a nice patience by Nothing as well, taking the down here behind this pallet. Sedicari is now going to leave the trial here, so the 3v1 scenario, I have to say, not seeing a generator done worries me a little bit.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. We see the generator over there as well as main. We hear that being worked on, though no one being found. These survivors going to be playing a little bit more careful now that one of their own is out of the match. However, Nancy getting caught out.
Nancy, or Swarty in this case, needs to have a very good run here, and we can already see she's holding W towards the bottom side. That's the way you want to go. Unfortunately, interrupting the generator and turning back towards the top side here. So this is going to be our next survivor in the chase. Jukebox now in the chase, but Nothing, just rotating back, happily taking these injuries. Sloppy Butcher coming into clutch here. That's going to be longer reset times, and right now I think Chronicles really wants to reset.
Yeah, I would definitely imagine so, that they're being the next down, this time on the Nia. And we've already seen what Nothing's game plan is here to try and force a very early kill. However, we see them bring them to this middle hook here. I think it's a really smart heads-up play, kind of within their 3-gen.
Now, fresh hook here in front of the main building. That's going to be 2 minutes of hang time for Chronicles. That's a good move, but unfortunately still here with this triangle 3-gen on the top side, the hook basically in the middle of it. So what we mentioned earlier about holding W towards the bottom side, they're not consequently doing here. So as long as Nothing is keeping this setup here, I don't think we will see him committing to any chase, because he's in a wonderful spot right now.
Oh yeah, they have all the time in the world. We also see those gens highlighted in yellow, though we do see, it looks like the Shack gen popping off there, but at this point in time, Nothing just gets to sit upon their coal tower throne and watch over the subjects down below.
Yeah, this is a very, very perfect location here, and sitting up there gives you a good feeling and makes you feel really, really confident. It's what Nothing earned, because he's doing a good job so far. He was able to zone the survivors back towards the main building here, and being rewarded with this is really what he worked for throughout the mid-game. We might see the generator on the bottom side being completed soon, but after that, it's going to look difficult here.
Yeah, especially as we did see there, I'm not sure if you noticed with those scratch marks there on the left-hand side, there was blood pools paired with that, suggesting that that was Jukebox, the Zarina, which means Nancy out here, kind of caught out in the middle of nowhere. This is a horrible situation for these survivors to be in.
A very, very horrible situation indeed, because when we are looking onto the hook counter with 6 stages very soon after the elimination and the potential down coming in here, then we would face the win condition for Team Millennium here in set number 1. So this is now going to be the down right here. I don't see Jukebox getting the save because we've just seen the reset, so that might be in a healing or medkit. Never mind, they were maybe in the main building just getting it off last second here. Chronicles with a surprising turn.
Yeah, that was out of nowhere. I was right there. I feel like, okay, the healing that must be farther away, but no, it must have been right in the main building like you said. So that is a huge play here by Chronicles, potentially allowing them to turn this around. However, do want to note that those gens have been regressing for quite some time, so even if they're able to get into that 3-gen, I'm just not sure they're going to be able to crank it out.
Yeah, this is going to be the difficult task here. Now, basically, they would need to get Swarty off the hook and then complete 2 more generators with escaping without taking any more down or stage here. So that would be a really, really difficult task. I really like, however, that Nothing is not just face camping here, securing the win condition. We can see the confidence and also the will to get this as best as possibly done with the best results. So he keeps checking on these generators, and we do find Jukebox here once again running towards the bottom side. The save in the back, but I don't think Cole is making it very far here.
No, I don't think so either. Trying to mind game the Nurse will miss on that hit. Nia getting a bit of distance, and Nurse now really concerned about that hill gen, seeing how far it has been progressed, and for good reason too.
Now going back and taking a kick for this generator here first. Really wants to keep 2 generators in the score and finish this off with a nice result. Nice double back here by Jukebox, forcing the Nurse to fatigue and then do it again with the double blink. This one is going to find its target. Injury onto Jukebox, now taking the chase towards the bottom side once again, but the Chronicles survivors not making it far enough here. They will keep getting hooked on the top side and Nothing keeping his 3-gen.
Yeah, unfortunately, going right back to this hook, I feel like it worked out for them once. I do not think it's going to work out for them again. If anything, I think these survivors need to take the L and do this last gener here topside, because if they do not, they really do risk being very far down in the instance of a tie match.
That is very true, and Swarty is being caught out here, taking an injury as well. Now breaking line of sight. Quick check where Nancy is going to, and then a wonderful prediction by Nothing here. Beautiful double blink, getting the down here. Jukebox with the broken status effect in the distance, potentially the Deliverance saving the day then, making sure that one survivor can stay on the generators. However, we're straight back on our most favorite hook for Millennium here, where you can sit on the top of Coal Tower and keeping an eye onto the survivors here. We have the 8 stages now as well, so Millennium made it happen here on the Coal Tower, and therefore, it's the question if we maybe see anything surprising here still, because if you do turn this match, it would be a very nice confidence boost for set number 2.
Absolutely, and I will say there, Nothing being very thorough, finding the Nia there in the middle of nowhere.
Trying to get the next one here, but they are doing a good job here. Shaq is saving the day a little bit, line of sight breaker, and getting stuck in the hill now as well. Blinking immediately back towards this top side. We can see how important this 3-gen for Millennium is, but this is bringing me to another question at the same time. Why do you think is this bottom generator not done yet?
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, I think it might just come down to maybe some miscommunication as far as whether or not to reset, of whether or not they're able to even get it. You know, the generator over there by Shaq, we see some work being done now, as there was that missed skill check just now, 9 seconds off of the generator, and those 9 seconds are going to be very, very crucial to the survival of these survivors.
Now the time factor in again, as you said. It's going to be a constant back and forth. Which chase can the killer take, and how quick will the survivors be on the next unhook reset and going for these generators. The save in the background, we haven't seen any down just yet. There's a For the People once again. Jukebox kept in the trial, but a very beautiful blink here onto Swarty, taking the down in this top right corner. Maybe the survivors now hopping onto the generators, doubling up. I don't think it's going to be enough time to get anything done here, unfortunately. And once again, back on the favorite hook here.
Yep, though that will be the last time it's used this match, as everyone here is on Death Hook. It now comes down to these final chases, and between Eruption and Call O'Brien, this gen here is all but regressed to nothing. We do see Juke go into the corner here, trying to evade the nurse, going down here and having a look around, see if there are any available hooks here, and there is the one right up there on the hill. But here's the thing, will the nurse be able to get to the shack in time for the hatch escape?
Yeah, already nodding just while you ask this question. Nurse already nodding in the direction of the shack, and it doesn't seem like Nothing is worrying too much about that. Happily handing out the hatch escape to Cole here, so that might be the one-stage escape there for Team Chronicles. That is indeed coming through. 11 stages for Millennium here, almost a 4K on 2 generators standing. Fantastic game by Millennium, and this is going to be even more pressure now for Chronicles in the second set.
Absolutely, and absolutely. With that being said, we are going to be jumping right on into set number 2. This time, we are going to be on the Azerov's resting place, and we will be seeing Millennium's Blight. We do not know if it's going to be Nothing playing the Blight, but it should be a treat one way or another for sure.
Absolutely. Millennium has shown phenomenal performances on Blight and against the Blight, so their killer is always scrimming on absolute top performance and has all these cheeky tricks and so much experience, so this next match is going to be super exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely. But with that being said, we are going to take another quick break as we get this lobby set on up. And with that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. Stay tuned. All right, we are back. This time, though, we are going to be on the Azerov's resting place with Millennium's Blight against Chronicles Survivor Team. What are you thinking here, Dyer? We are going to be seeing quite a treat with this Blight, I think.
We will see an amazing game right here. Millennium being really experienced as a Blight and against the Blight, so this Blight has perfect practice when playing against his own Survivor team here, and potentially 5 million scrims as well. And Azeroth's resting place is a map that can be really punishing for a Survivor team if the killer is playing this well. If you do secure an early down, you can hook in one of these 3 gens and then kind of camp these bottlenecks or the chokeholds on this map. So if this is going to be the plan for Millennium, and if they're able to pull this, they're going to be in a very, very good spot here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Wizzle here, as you said, very well practiced on the Blight. However, these survivors doing a very good job of evading the ire of Wizzle. Though we do see some scratch marks there in the middle jungle gym, giving Wizzle all the information that they need.
And Wizzle is a player that also makes the most out of information like that with his experience and knowledge. We do see him going straight after the Feng here, an extra bump to check where she is, and there she is going to be downed. The first hook stage coming through. We don't have a generator in exchange yet. We're quite towards the top side, so Wizzle is going to use this hook to play around his generator setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see the Blight here going past a hook. Usually that's a good sign of a Scourge hook Pain Resonance.
Pain Resonance, one of the very, very strong new perks in competitive Dead by Daylight, paired with the Pop Goes the Weasel as well. So our Blight being really confident that a lot of stages are coming in, and Wizzle has all reasons to feel that confident. We see these extra bumps for a little bit of better aiming, but still the avoidance here by our Ace. Now the break of the pallet here, a few resources leaving this trial, but a good chase here so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Ace doing a fantastic job avoiding the Blight here. One thing I want to point out here about Wizzle's gameplay, just very, very patient on those balances. Takes their time to see where the survivor is, where they're going, and then goes for the down. It's one thing that really demonstrates the difference between an experienced Blight and one that is good but not well seasoned.
And unfortunately, this time that Ace put up here was not used to make it away from this main building here and getting out of this topside area. So Wizzle is going to secure the second stage here into this game, and still has his generator set up on the top side, rushing back towards the midsection. He even wants to keep this generator for longer. We do see that Ace is going to take a hit here as well. So Wizzle, with good control, has his 3-gen set up there on the top side, is able to prevent the mid generator here as well. So everything going according to plan.
Yeah, so far, if no generators popping off, this means that these survivors are in a very tough position indeed, being 2 hooks deep and 1 person ready to be sent back to the campfire.
Trying to make a good mix here between guarding the hook and a few chases to push survivors off generators. We do see one of these generators being done in the distance, but I don't think Wizzle is going to worry about this bottom side of the map too much. Same as the Nurse in the previous trial. As long as you can keep your 3-gen set up and constantly hook inside of it, you will feel really, really good. Now for the people, once again, a good strategy by Chronicles here to prevent the tunnel out, and we can see that our killer doesn't care about Jukebox being injured, and right on top of that the priority is the Feng, and we still see the tunnel right here. Eruption doing work as well, and if there is going to be the kill at 4 generators remaining, that's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, and we see Wizzle there going a little bit too fast for their own good, missing the Fang Min. I will say, even though the down on Jukebox won't matter in the long run, that was 3 eruptions back to back to back, a total of 30% regression across gens, and Ace being hit with incapacitated status effect for 25 seconds on top of which, and This Figment being here on the LT wall is not going to be looking good as they do end up going down.
Yeah, that's a very quick elimination from the trial here. Really good work by our killer now, though, towards the other side here. But fantastic job so far, instantly going back towards the main side, except if we see an injured Ace. Not being really careful, I have to say, because we've seen in the previous trial how good the communication of Millennium was against the Oni, how early they left. And yes, Blight is more mobile and has a higher mobility, but this was a very risky play here.
Yeah, absolutely, especially as we've seen Wizzle go back to that gen time and time again, knowing full well that they are trying to crank that out to try and break up the 3-4 gen here on Shaq's side, but these survivors just unable to get it done during these chases.
Yeah, the chases, unfortunately, a little bit too short, not allowing enough time, and we do see that Wizzle is now aware of both survivor location. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, how punishing this can be on a map like ARP. Now Wizzle basically able to hold this spot on the top of the midsection, and he can just make sure that nobody is moving into his back to get the rescue here. So that is going to be a really, really nice position to be in, and we can instantly see that putting pressure on one survivor and going back at the perfect moment so nobody can get the unhook for free. It might end in a trade here. But with this distance, I'm not sure if Jukebox is going to make that. Therefore, it's going to be Cole rotating in, but it might come down to the patience game in terms of who's going to grab.
Yeah, and we see Wizzle here with the body blocks at the hook. Nia trying desperately to get this unhook, but Wizzle just not going to let it happen until second stage has been confirmed.
Very, very strong work here by our killer. Very nice now by the Survivor team with the BT play there. Wizzle needs to move around this and doesn't find the connection with the tree here, unfortunately. So that's going to be more distance for these survivors, but not that far. This pallet here is already removed. Is this going to be enough? No. Cole is going down here. Moriarty has to mend from the deep wound status effect. Zarina is injured. Guild, it's not looking too good for Chronicles. Oh,
no, not at all, especially if Ace getting found out there in the middle of nowhere. Progress to second stage unless there's a decisive strike, which there is, but honestly, it's a 3-second decisive. It means nothing to a Blight, as we see here. So, serious question for you, as far as a competitive standpoint is concerned, is it even worth bringing decisive strike at this point?
Yeah, against a Nurse and a Blight, it's really tough, right? It's almost an instant 2-tap. Sometimes I feel like these few seconds, though, can still make a minor difference between picking someone up or finding safety. So it is still understandable that teams are bringing it, but what I think has changed is that you cannot use decisive strike as a second chance anymore, or as a or like planning on it, right? We have seen survivor teams before being like, okay, we put our decisive strike survivor in the first chase against the Nurse. This is going to be our strategy. I think planning like this doesn't work anymore. Decisive strike is at this point against the S tier killers simply just a tool to waste 5, 6, 7 more seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even against the Blight and Nurse, though, it seems like it's not even that long. And
yeah,
we will end up seeing Jukebox going down, Eruption putting in some work. I will say here, one thing about Wizzle and utilizing Pop Goes the Weasel this match, been getting a lot of good value, always popping gens that are 50% or more, which is really what you need to do in order to get any value nowadays.
That is very true. Yeah, it's interesting how those things are shifting at the moment, and I'm also interested if we maybe see a few more strategies coming out of that very soon. For example, in regards to the decisive strike, maybe new combinations in regards to general planning and wasting time of one or the other part here. And talking about these strategies, Cole is going to face a very difficult decision in regards to the strategies, because we can either try to get another generator done here for 2 points that are definitely confirmed. We can also try to go for an end game play here, and I think Chronicles might need to take something risky here.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the best course of action here for them might be to do a generator during this current moment in time, and then go for the unhook and try and allow the hook to be further away from Shaq, because right now there is no way that these survivors are going to be able to make it to Shaq and to Hatch before the Blight does. Though, we do see Deliverance. They will have to wait out the built-in BT. And so this at least gives the Nia a little bit of extra time on those generators, like we were saying.
Once again, a little bit of time, a few seconds being taken here. Unfortunately, Jukebox going down. There's not going to be a mini decisive strike anymore. We've seen that earlier, so Jukebox is going straight back onto the hook here. 60 seconds now until the elimination would come through. Cole potentially on another generator here, and Whistle now also not in camping mood any longer. He wants to stop these generators as quick as possible. We do see a little progress over here, but I don't think that's from Cole, because that would be way too less pressure for all this time. So maybe they are already hiding and trying to get a gate done after the hatch has been closed.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. We did see that Chen on the hill with a little bit of progression. Do want to note that as Scourgehook Pain Resonance did come into play, regressing that Chen by 15%. However, we do see Jukebox looks to be suiciding out here, and Blight seeing that and rushing back to Shaq as quick as they can. Unfortunately, though, you know, the thought about these exit gates being done, they are on the same side within line of sight of this Blight. I do not foresee a way of this Nia getting out of here.
I have to agree on this one, because we have a high mobility killer, right? That's always going to be more and more difficult to go for the exit gates here. One of them is right next to the hook of Jukebox. The other exit gate, is that on the top side? Oh, there he was.
Yeah, we saw the Nia. Unfortunately, it looks like that will be the end of this trial for set number 2. Chronicles going to have to come out swinging, as was that only 2 generators completed?
That was only 2 generators completed. Yeah, this is going to be a very insane win condition for Millennium. They're facing the Twins. Of course, Twins can take over, and when you make a few mistakes, the Twins can be really punishing. But this is the core of this upcoming trial, right? They need to make a few mistakes, and mistakes on the side of Millennium are not spread that often.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing. You know, we definitely said here very early on, it's definitely interesting to see, you know, 2 A/B tier killers up against the S tier of S tiers of Blight and Nurse. And we're just seeing the difference, not even, I would say, necessarily in skill. Yes, Chronicles has made mistakes as far as Survivor's concerned. However, we still see the fact that just even with skill in, you know, taken into comparison, just the abilities of Nurse and Blight are night and day comparison to Oni, and what I imagine we'll see from Twins as well.
Yeah, I have to agree on that, because Oni and Twins basically being 2 killers that rely on some mistakes, right? Especially Twins is the most, or the strongest killer when it comes to chaos in communication and in chaos of the teamwork, when you're not keeping track of Charlotte and Victor, when your internal team communication is lacking a little bit. So this is really what makes the Twins so strong. And if you do face a very experienced tournament squad like Millennium, for example, with here in this case even players from Trauma being on the roster, then it's just going to be one hell of a challenge here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But with that being said, we are going to be taking another quick break as we get this potentially last lobby set up. The Twins are going to have quite the uphill battle to tie things 1-1. Chronicles to Millennium. They're going to need to get a 4K before 2 gens are completed to take the set. And if that being said, we are going to be back in just a little bit. But before we do want to remind you all watching today that you, yes, you, the viewers, are our sponsors. So the ads they watch, all the bits they tip, all the subs that you buy, all go to supporting Champions of the Fog and the $525 prize pool that these competitors are duking it out for. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. All right, and we are back and going in swinging as we see Jukebox piloting the Twins against Millennium Survivor Team and finding a very early Survivor 2, in fact, here on the corrupted side. This actually could be game-changing. As we said earlier, they need all the help that they can get. Nia going for the vault here with a life, dodging the Victor pounce.
That is a very, very good move right here, because now the other survivor also has the time to rotate towards the bottom side here. Unfortunately, no quick attack by Victor. The life play there really good in hugging the tile to make sure that Victor needs to adjust a couple of times here. Now they are going to take the chase, but Victor is doing a lot of work here because Charlotte was parked in a very perfect position and zoning this survivor, so we might see a rather quick down here.
Yeah, absolutely, especially as we saw life has already been used. Nia going down into a corner to try and ensure that it takes the Twins a little bit more time to get to the hook. However, 3 survivors have been on Gens, I'm going to say for at least 30 to 45 seconds, so I would expect to see at least 1 generator popping off here.
I have to say the same. Yeah, I totally agree. We should see 1 generator being done on the bottom side, especially where we have not seen that much of pressure by the killer just yet. But Jukebox also able to catch the rescuer that is already moving in here. So Nancy potentially taking the injury as well. Yeah, that's now going to come through. And Charlotte is not that far away. So either the tunnel out or the down onto the Nancy here. The only issue is the wind condition, because only 2 more generators in Millennium would already be fine.
Yeah, that is the problem that we're going to see here. We will see the hit, but unfortunately, True BT coming into play, just not able to waste enough time for the Nia. And we will see the attempted tunnel out here as Nancy is unable to do anything. However, 2 gens completed already. It is now a tie match in favor of Millennium. Unless Juke is able to get the 4-man slug here, it looks like this will be it.
Yeah, Millennium has a lot of pressure right here, but takes a hit through the pallet here, not being careful enough with the NA killer that is currently playing. Sometimes you need to be a little bit more careful on these pallets jumping into the locker here. I think there was the plan to have someone in front of the locker, but it's now going to be Jukebox contesting these generators, because it would take too long to go down towards this locker and grab the survivor out. And talking about this win condition, you mentioned only 1 more generator being needed here. I think there's still 1 on the bottom side, so it's almost impossible for Jukebox to pull the win here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Like I said, unless they're somehow able to just pull out the 4-man slug. However, there is the 3rd and final gen needed. Blood going into nowhere. This Nancy all but disappearing. What is going on there? And looks like Victor just unable to track where the blood has gone, and Nancy is out of here.
Nancy already gone here, the stealth supermaster, and we do see skill checks already being completed on this generator right here on the top midsection, back and forth on this pallet. That's going to be Hardball taking a hit and being broken for the time they carry Victor, but 2 survivors completely healthy, able to work on the generators. Nancy going on a run now, but she has also a few resources remaining here on the top side, at least this filler pallet, and then we have the very known strategy of running into a corner if needed and wasting a lot of time here. So there should be the 4th generator coming out very, very soon here, leading us closer and closer towards an end game even.
Yeah, it seems to be the case. Haven't been able to get a good eye on what the split looks like, though we do see, looks like 1 back towards Shaq and 2 towards middle. It's definitely going to be a hard setup for Juke to defend. And we do see Eruption hitting 2 survivors there. That is going to be a collective 50 seconds of incapacitation between the 2 of them.
Now, nothing here on the hook. That's 2 minutes of hang time. Unfortunately, also not able to proceed with the elimination on that first hooked survivor, and that's also going to be a deliverance. So nobody needs to worry about the hooked survivor. Nobody had to rotate over, so no time was wasted on this side of Millennium there. They can all use the pressure for the generators. We see them beautifully leaving towards the bottom side into the safe area, and this generator here that is linked into the 3-gen setup on the top side already has a ton of progress.
Yeah, and we see this 3-gen back here. It is pretty weak, though, and broken up. We see David, though, back here on Nancy's gen earlier. Juke with the kicks of Call of Brine and Eruption together. However, these survivors have no fear whatsoever. Nancy jumping on the gen, still broken from their deliverance.
And she will make it down in time. Yeah, Hartwell taking the down, potentially an Unbreakable there, or also the survivor that would be the prioritized one from our survivor team here. David being caught on the top side on these generators, but playing it careful enough to reach this pallet right here. And Jukebox has no chance to take any advantage of these downs. We can see Ace being already back in the trial, being picked up, and as soon as Jukebox would leave to hook, there would be all generators done on the top side here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been an amazing showing from these survivors, just trying to pretty much get these gens done as quickly as possible. They know what they need to do, and they are doing it in a beautiful fashion, as we see Nancy once again back on that hill gen, not carrying whatsoever. The gen almost completed. I would have bet if the three of them would have committed, they probably could have gotten that gen at the trade of the ace at the very least.
Now back towards the midsection here. Injured survivor needs to be careful, but he's just going to hop into the locker here. No chance for Jukebox once again. He can't leave this top area. David is going to take the injury, but they also going to hold W towards this bottom side. I almost feel bad for Jukebox here, because this is exactly where we see the limitation of power from a killer like Twins. You do need survivor mistakes, and the survivor mistake would be that they are going down at the top side here, inside or close to the 3-gen, but Millennium is just not handing out any mistake like that. Never mind Ace being caught on the top side here. That was a little bit too optimistic by Hartwell. This is now a little bit of potential for Jukebox.
Yeah, absolutely. We see David there with Twins on their back, trying to get the attention of the Twins. However, it looks like they're going to commit to this gen here and try and get it completed.
Trying the completion as quick as possible, and there it is. Generator number 4 and the 3-gen being gone now. Millennium has nothing to worry about anymore. A kick onto Victor on top, and now it's all the way towards the bottom side, and Millennium starts to be a little bit more optimistic here as well, and just celebrating their very, very nice match. Hartwell is going into the locker. We see for the people switch onto David, so Millennium just having a good time right now, and I think they really, really deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, amazing plays here by Millennium. We see that they knew the win condition, how to get it, and then went the extra mile. And we see them even going for the 4-man out attempt here. David going down on the ground, will be going up on the hook now. And I'm thinking this is just their attempts at getting a little bit of practice in a dire situation.
And yeah, there's the exit gate already, so Jukebox just using Victor one last time here. LeMagic staying on the hook. That's a nice fresh hook here though, so you do achieve hook stage 6, 7, and 8, except Nia is Nia is just leaving the trial as well. She just took a little bit longer, and with that, congratulations to Millennium in just I don't want to say showing us what we expected, because it was a very phenomenal performance, but basically showing us something where we could all learn from, even.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic job by both Millennium and Chronicles alike. And if that being said, congratulations to Millennium. You guys have taken 3rd place of Champions of the Fog Season 4. I was having to figure out whether it's Season 4 or 5 now, but we are just about getting started up with Season 5 qualifiers starting next month. But with that being said, GG well played to both teams, and we will be back in just 44 minutes with the final match of Champions of the Fog Season 4, Eviscerate versus Petroleum. Make sure to be here. And if that being said, before we do go, Dire, thank you much for joining me today, and thank you much for joining Rue yesterday. Always a pleasure having you here. And anything you want to tell the audience before we do head out?
I take the chance. I take the chance of 1 minute. I don't want to put myself too much into the foreground here, but I just want to tell everyone, guys, that Champions of the Fog you are aware that Dead by Esports is not hosting tournaments anymore, and you are also aware that DBD League is hosting quite exclusively. So what we need in Comp DBD is a wonderful org that is hosting very nice events for teams that can also try competitive DBD, and that's Champions of the Fog. And you watched very exciting games today, yesterday, and all the weeks along. Unfortunately, I said it yesterday already, I wasn't able to hop in all the time. I wish I would, but the people here in the background are amazing. I appreciate Champions of the Fog. I appreciate you, Guild. We sometimes talk about rule set things, balance things, important things about the community. This cooperation is a lot. Maybe there's a cooperation on something else in the future, without spoiling too much. But guys, just appreciating Champions of the Fog here. They're doing an amazing job, and they have a huge potential as an org along with DBD League and creating great events. So if you do have time to watch them, support them, whatever, make sure to hop in, because they're doing a fantastic job. I really enjoyed being here yesterday and today. Thank you for having me, and I wish you all a fantastic grand final.
Thank you much, Darren. That really does mean a lot. And yes, you and I will definitely have to talk more about doing some stuff together between our two orgs. But with that being said, everyone, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be jumping right on into finals now in just 42 minutes. Eviscerate versus Petroleum. It's going to be very exciting, as this will determine the champions of the Fog. And with that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to go head over to Dyer's channel and give them a follow to see all things competitive, Dead by Daylight, and more. And for those who do not know me, I am the Commissioner Giltspire of Champions of the Fog, as well as an educational streamer here to teach you everything from Dead by Daylight, Magic the Gathering Arena, and a whole lot more. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit.